Hi everyone, today we'll be taking a look at your picking technique. I've prepared a little single note study, which is a violin piece written by Bach. And as long as I've practiced the guitar, I've always heard several of my teachers explain the same thing. That is, if you play a piece on the guitar that isn't necessarily written for the guitar, you will almost every time end up with some form of technical difficulty or some technical demand that you will have to overcome. This particular piece was written for violin, which is in a different tuning, which uses a bow instead of a pick, and that will lead to some technical difficulties we have to overcome on the instrument. Now, I was also inspired by the Cracking the Code website, which is a guitar educational website I've been following for quite a while now. I'm a paid subscriber as well. And they do an incredible in-depth analysis of picking technique. Now, I haven't gotten around to playing with all the different technical aspects they talk about on the site, but so far I have managed to get my head around the downward pick slanting, or what they call downward pick slanting. I'm not going to go over the complete technical concept, but in a very short summary, what you would try to do is to lean the pick slightly forward, and if you do a downstroke you will end up with the pick in between the strings, so trapped in between two strings, and when you do an upstroke you will try to pull away from the guitar, lifting the pick up into the air. When the pick is up in the air, this is the ideal moment to switch a string. The pick is up above the strings and you can easily switch to any different string you would like. If you go through the tablature of this piece, you will notice that I have tried to arrange it in such a fashion that you always switch strings after an upstroke. So if you go through the tab and you're thinking these fingerings look a bit strange or weird, or I would try and play it in another way, that's perfectly possible. This is all thought out in the back of my mind with the downward pick slanting principle, just to see how I can adapt it. One more pointer before we go through it. Please, 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 please play this little piece as a piece of music. There will probably be plenty of other single note studies coming along on this channel, but this one isn't a particular piece that demands a super tight timing metronomic approach. As you can hear in the intro, I like to play it rubato. I will include a few links by a few well-known violin players who play the same piece, and you will hear them speeding up, slowing down, putting an emphasis on certain notes, playing other notes a lot more lightly. And it's this playing around with the piece that gives it its own flavor with each different violin player, and you should have a go at it too. So play this thing as a piece of music and not just as a metronome exercise to get through it. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look at the different fingerings. I'm not going to go over each fingering separately. I'm just going to play the piece really slowly, put the tablature underneath, and if there are any particular fingerings you really need to watch out for, that's when I will slow down and give you a bit of extra explanation. I reckon the tab underneath this kind of piece is a bit difficult to follow. So since there are no copyright issues involved, I will be sharing the tab down below so you can find it in the description link. I will supply a tab without the pick strokes, and then again a second PDF file where I have notated every single pick stroke, down, up, along with the different other techniques. So you can maybe experiment with the same technical idea with the downward pick slanting, picking really into the strings when you're playing a downstroke, and playing upward, away from the strings when you're playing an upstroke. Here we go, grab your guitar and let's get to work. Quick word, we're in 5th position, so we're starting out with the index finger on the 5th fret. We're moving quickly down to the 4th fret, but we're still in 5th position, so we're only grabbing this note, and afterwards we're grabbing with the pinky just a light stretch, moving over from the 8th to the 9th fret, but that's all that happens. Word on that. Sliding up with the pinky to the 10th fret and straight away again to the 5th fret and moving up to the 7th position. Moving over with the index finger. That little part you notice quite a lot of 2 notes a string, which in this type of picking mechanism actually works fine, because you always get down up on each string. So down up, down up, down up, down up, down up. Each string change is done after a upstroke. This little sequence, it's always in the same scale, always dropping down 1 degree and playing the same thing. So 16th note, 2 32nd notes, and then a 3rd to top it off. If this type of mechanical content seems interesting to you, please take a look at the Cracking the Code website. It's well worth its money. I always thought I was a teacher who had an analytical mind and who was able to really pick things apart and have a look at them, how they worked. And the people of Cracking the Code totally put me to shame. So the way they approach this, they interview doctors, really have a look at the anatomy of the body as well, to see what works and why it works. And it's incredible, though the content is quite dense. You really have to bite through it, because there's really a lot to get your teeth in. So maybe let me add in one super slow motion version. I hope I don't mess this up, but this will give you the opportunity to take a look at each and every fingering separately. Please don't pay too much attention to the pick strokes, the down up movement on this tempo, as I will probably mess this up. It's easier to do when you're in a bit of a quicker tempo, but doing it really slowly will probably make me default to some other picking patterns than I would when I'm playing it up to tempo. So here we go, have a look at it. That's actually quite draining to play it so slowly. So I hope you had a good look at every single fingering, and if there are any problems or anything that comes up, maybe drop me a line in the comments. Have fun with this one. I've got some Vivaldi pieces and some Mozart pieces lined up as well in this series. If you like this and would like to see more of this type of content, just let me know. I'm just starting out with the channel, and I'm really appreciative of all the comments and suggestions you make. Thanks a lot.